Could you be able to go through pain without taking medication? Today I'm going to be informing you of the pros and cons of taking opioids. So this is a controversial topic and it's very informative and interesting, so I made sure that all the information used in this speech today is credible information. So now we're going to get right into the main points, and to start off we're going to start with our pros. So the most valuable reason people are in support of taking opioids is because it is a stop or relief to chronic or acute pain. And because opioids are relief to this chronic or acute pain, they are the most prescribed drug, which means that opioids aren't hard to get a hold of. Now we're going to go on to the cons. However, people who are against taking opioids would say that opioids are highly addictive and can be dangerous. And another con is that they are a big factor in the case of drug-related overdoses over the years. So now that you have a little overview of the points I have, we're going to get right into with how opioids relieve and help pain. So a lot of supporters of taking opioids are convinced opioids are a fast, easy stop to chronic or acute pain. An example I have is when I got my wisdom teeth out, I was given hydrocodone, which is an opioid, and I was told to take that for 3 to 4 days, and after those 3 to 4 days, the pain stopped. And if I had any pills left, I was told to dump them, but that was the only pill option that I was provided after that surgery was hydrocodone, which is an opioid drug. So the other example I have is American Association of Anesthesiologists explained how opioids worked. They said, opioids attach to proteins called opioid receptors on nerve cells in the brain, spinal cord, gut, and other parts of the body. When this happens, the opioids block pain messages sent from the body through the spinal cord to the brain. Now this little excerpt about how opioids work is important to know because doctors take this into consideration when they are prescribing these pills to their patients to make sure that they can relieve the pain. Now this leads us to pro number 2, where many people would claim opioids are beneficial because they are the most prescribed drug. So the 2 surgeries I had in my life, broken elbow and the wisdom teeth, like I mentioned before, and those 2 surgeries, after I was provided with opioids to relieve my pain in both of those surgeries. And then in 2018, the CDC gained data that showed the U.S. prescribed 51.4 prescriptions per 100 people that year. Now, these 2 justifications I just went over can be convincing. However, we cannot ignore the reason why there are cons of taking opioids. Now, this comes to the first con. Many claims that taking opioids can become highly addictive. So my dad is an example I have for this. He collapsed his lungs and broke a couple ribs, was in the hospital for a week or so, and he was put on opioids after he was taken out of the hospital, and this is what he had to say about that. No matter what doctor I went to, they wanted to prescribe me more opioids. After taking them twice a day with hours apart, they made me take with the times closer together. I would take them together. My wife told me I was acting off. I knew I was looking forward to taking them too much. After about 5 days of taking them, I flushed them all down the toilet and told the doctors never to prescribe me any more. And to this day, he has not taken any more opioids since then and makes sure none of his doctors give him any. Another example I have is Dak Shepard, an actor and podcaster, admitted to being newly sober after battling opioid addiction. Shepard, who recorded the podcast episode just last Monday, said that in recent months he battled an addiction to opioid painkiller Mitacon, which he began taking amid problems with his hands and shoulders. He added that for the previous 8 weeks, he had been on them all day. Now this is important because this actor and podcaster could have died of drug overdose if he would not have stopped taking those opioids because of his addiction to them. Now finally, I'm going to talk about the last con. In the past years, many people have died of opioid drug-related overdose. According to the CDC, opioids are currently the main driver of drug overdose deaths. Opioids were involved in 46,802 overdose deaths in 2018, which was 69.5% of all overdose deaths that year. Now, of course, Corona and the lock-in orders of 2020 have not been good for any of us, but they definitely have not been good for Maryland when it comes to the opioid epidemic. According to Herald Mail Media, deaths from opioids and other drugs jumped more than 9% across the state in the first half of 2020 compared to the same period last year. So now that both sides of the topic have been presented, I'm going to review of what I've gone over today. First, I explained how taking opioids is beneficial in the way they relieve pain. Second, I indicated that opioids are the most prescribed drug because of the quick relief of pain. After that, I showed the opposing side of the topic that many people declared opioids to be addictive and dangerous using my dad's first-hand experience. And finally, I went over the statistics over the years linking taking opioids to drug-related overdoses. Again, the purpose of this speech was to tell y'all about the pros and cons of taking opioids, and I made sure that all credit used in this speech was credible. And after hearing this speech today, I hope you became more informed on taking opioids, and hopefully that you chose which side of the spectrum you are on.